In 1940, almost every American farmhouse had one. By 1960, most had been filled in with concrete and forgotten. We are not talking about a technology that failed. We are not talking about an invention that stopped working. We are talking about a room. A simple underground room that could keep apples crisp from October to May, keep potatoes firm for 8 months, keep cabbages edible through an entire winter, keep carrots, beets, parsnips, onions, and dozens of other foods fresh for a quarter of a year or longer, without consuming a single watt of electricity. It had no moving parts, no compressor, no refrigerant, no filters to change, no motor to replace, no power bill attached to it. It ran on a physics principle so simple that civilizations have used it for 10,000 years. And it worked better than most modern refrigerators for long-term storage of the food it was designed to hold. Then in the span of roughly 15 years between the late 1940s and the early 1960s, it disappeared from American life. They were buried deep under slab foundations. Others were paved over completely for garages. Many were turned into cramped utility closets. Forgotten so completely that most Americans under the age of 60 have never seen one in use. Today, building a new one is legally complicated in dozens of counties. Some building codes classify a properly sealed root cellar as a confined space requiring mechanical ventilation. Insurance companies often refuse to cover food storage structures that are not climate controlled by certified equipment. Real estate appraisers have no category for an underground food storage room, so they value it at zero. A house with a functional root cellar sells for the same price as an identical house without one, even though the cellar eliminates the need for a second refrigerator, a chest freezer, and months of grocery trips. This is the story of the root cellar, a piece of ancestral engineering that kept American families fed for more than 3 centuries. How it works, how it was built, how to build one today. And why the system that replaced it, the electric refrigerator, represents one of the largest and quietest transfers of household independence to corporate supply chains in modern history. The principle behind a root cellar is older than agriculture itself. 10,000 years ago, before humans had pottery, before we had metal tools, before we had written language, we had already figured out that food buried in the right kind of earth lasted longer than food left on the surface. Archaeological evidence from ancient settlements in the Middle East, Asia, and Europe shows storage pits dug into cold subsoil dating back to at least 8,000 BCE. Indigenous peoples across North America had their own sophisticated underground storage systems long before European contact. The Iroquois stored corn, beans, and squash in bark-lined pits. The Pueblo peoples of the Southwest carved storage rooms into cliff faces and sealed them with stone. The Mandan of the northern plains dug cylindrical pits 4 to 6 feet deep, lined them with grass, and buried harvested crops that emerged fresh months later. The physics they all exploited, whether they could describe it in those terms or not, is the thermal mass of the earth itself. Here is what is happening underground that makes this possible. The air above the surface of the ground swings wildly. Summer highs, winter lows, day and night, week to week. In most of North America, surface temperatures can vary by 60 degrees Celsius or more across a single year. An above-ground storage space fights that variation constantly. It heats up in summer, it freezes in winter, it dries out, it gets damp. There is no stability above ground without continuous energy input. Below the surface, the physics change completely. At a depth of roughly 2 meters, the temperature of the soil in most temperate regions stabilizes. Between 8 and 13 degrees Celsius year-round, summer or winter, it does not meaningfully fluctuate. The Earth is an enormous thermal mass. It absorbs and releases heat so slowly that the surface temperature swing takes months to penetrate downward. By the time last summer's warmth reaches a depth of 2 meters, winter has already arrived above, and the deep ground is still holding what feels to us like cool spring temperature. This is the same physics that makes caves cold in summer and warmer than the outside air in winter. A root cellar is simply an engineered cave, a room deliberately placed inside that stable temperature envelope of the deep ground. When settlers arrived in Jamestown, Virginia in 1607, they began building cellars almost immediately. Initial pits were dug into clay subsoil directly under their dwellings. By 1767, the term root cellar appears in American real estate advertisements in New York City newspapers. A house for sale that year boasted a root cellar 22 feet by 11 feet, stoned up all around. Independent structures, mortared stone walls, corbelled brick roofs. By the mid-1800s, freestanding stone root cellars dug into hillsides or buried beneath farm outbuildings had become standard infrastructure across the entire eastern United States. In 1829, the Encyclopedia Americana observed that Americans are rarely destitute of good cellars, which the nature of the climate renders almost indispensable. Indispensable, not optional, not traditional, not nostalgic, indispensable, because there was no other way to get a family through winter without losing most of what had been grown during the summer. By 1868, the United States Department of Agriculture was publishing model farm plans that included root cellars as standard features. The 1878 Harbor Grace Standard in Newfoundland ran detailed guides on how to store potatoes for maximum longevity. An American farmhouse without a root cellar was unusual enough to be worth commenting on. And they worked. They really worked. A well-built root cellar maintains 3 critical variables simultaneously: temperature between roughly 0 and 4 degrees Celsius, humidity between 80 and 95%, and controlled ventilation to prevent ethylene gas buildup from fruit and to manage condensation. That combination of cold and humid is precisely what extends the storage life of most root vegetables, cabbages, apples, pears, and hard winter squash. Scientific studies on post-harvest storage confirm that for every 10 degrees Celsius reduction in temperature, the metabolic rate of stored produce drops by roughly half, and the rate of spoilage drops proportionally. A potato stored at 30 degrees Celsius on a kitchen counter might last 3 weeks. The same potato stored at 3 degrees Celsius in a humid root cellar can last 8 months. The high humidity matters just as much as the cold. Most refrigerators run at 30 to 50% humidity. That is why vegetables in your fridge wilt, shrivel, and go limp within 2 weeks. They are slowly desiccating. A root cellar at 85 to 95% humidity keeps cell structures plump and firm. Carrots stay crunchy. Beets stay firm. Cabbage heads remain tight and crisp. Modern refrigerators cannot replicate these conditions because their evaporator coils are actively drying the air. A root cellar is actively humidifying the air through contact with the damp earth itself. You are not working against the environment. You are using the environment as your climate system. Let me walk you through how one is actually built. This is not mysterious technology, but it is not a weekend project either. The ideal root cellar is at least 4 feet below ground level and preferably 6 to 8 feet down, which places the floor and lower walls within that stable thermal envelope of deep soil. Location matters enormously. You want the north side of a hill if possible, so the structure itself shades cooler ground and avoids direct solar heating through summer. You want soil that drains well because water infiltration is the single fastest way to destroy a root cellar. And you want to be well above the water table because flooding will ruin every cubic foot of food you have stored. Traditional American root cellars were built from stone or masonry, mortared fieldstone walls because fieldstone was cheap and available on most farms. A corbelled roof, meaning the stones were layered in overlapping rings that gradually closed in toward the center, creating a self-supporting dome without requiring timber beams that would rot underground. The entire structure was then covered with a thick layer of earth, typically 1 to 3 feet deep, which served as additional thermal mass and protected the stone from weathering. The entrance was always a priority. A root cellar needs an airlock, not a single door. 2 doors separated by a short passage so that warm outside air does not rush in every time you enter to fetch a bushel of apples. Most traditional designs used a stepped entrance. You went down a few stone steps, through an outer door, into a small vestibule, through an inner door, and into the main storage chamber. That double door design kept the cold inside during summer and prevented freezing during winter cold snaps. Ventilation required 2 pipes. An intake pipe that drew fresh, cool air in near the floor where it was coldest and densest. An exhaust pipe that removed stale air from near the ceiling where warm, moist air would rise. The difference in height between the intake and exhaust pipes, typically 3 to 4 feet, creates a natural convection current through the stack effect. Cold, dense air enters low. It warms slightly as it absorbs heat and moisture from the stored produce. The warmer air rises and exits through the high exhaust pipe. This cycle runs continuously without any fan, maintaining fresh air without losing temperature control. In deep winter, the exhaust pipe gets capped to prevent excessive cold and drying. Shelving was typically wood. Hardwood slats spaced to allow air circulation around each stored item. Root vegetables went into boxes or barrels layered with dry sand or sawdust. Apples went into slatted wooden crates, never touching each other, because a single rotting apple releases enough ethylene gas to spoil an entire box within days. Potatoes went into bulk piles on the floor, often covered loosely with dry straw. Cabbages were hung from hooks by their roots or buried upside down in sand. Squash were laid out on shelves with space between them. Cured meats hung from ceiling hooks in cloth sacks. Hard cheeses aged on upper shelves where the slight warmth accelerated ripening. Wine and home-canned goods, which preferred slightly warmer conditions, went on the highest shelves nearest the ceiling. A single well-stocked root cellar on an American farm in 1880 might hold 15 to 30 bushels of potatoes, 8 bushels of apples, dozens of cabbages, 100 pounds of onions, multiple bushels of carrots and beets, crocks of fermented sauerkraut, jars of preserves and pickles, hanging smoked hams, wheels of cheese, and barrels of salt pork. Enough food to feed a family of 6 from first frost until late spring, all running on the thermal mass of the earth. No electricity, no monthly bills, no supply chain. Now here's where we need to be honest about the work involved. Building a root cellar that actually performs to the standards described above is not trivial. The excavation alone is substantial. You are moving cubic meters of earth by hand or by small machine to get below the frost line. The drainage system needs to be designed carefully because a single season of water infiltration can rot wooden elements, erode the foundation, and introduce mold that contaminates stored food. The ventilation pipes need to be sized, placed, and fitted correctly, or the cellar will fail to exchange air properly and your produce will spoil. First-time builders often make the same mistakes. Too shallow, so temperatures swing with surface weather. Inadequate insulation over the roof, allowing summer heat to penetrate downward. Single-door entrances that flood the space with warm air every time someone steps inside. Inlet and exhaust pipes installed at the wrong heights, breaking the natural convection cycle. Floor drains that backflow during heavy rain. A proper root cellar is a real engineering project. It requires planning, some manual labor, a willingness to learn from mistakes, and typically a few $100s in materials beyond the dirt and stone that many rural properties already have on hand. Earthbag designs have brought costs down dramatically in the last 2 decades, with some builders reporting completed 100 square foot cellars for under $400 in materials. But all of them require time, effort, physical work. This is not a kit you buy and plug in, and yet the payoff is permanent. A properly constructed root cellar lasts for centuries. Stone cellars built in rural New England in the 1800s are still in use today. Roofs intact, walls solid, storage function unchanged. The USDA recorded plans for functional cellars in farm journals from the 1860s that describe designs still recommended by modern homesteading manuals. The technology does not go obsolete. Unlike an electric refrigerator, which has an average lifespan of 13 to 17 years before compressor failure and replacement, a well-built root cellar outlasts the person who dug it. So what happened to the root cellar? In 1927, General Electric introduced the first affordable home refrigerator, the Monitor Top, priced at $525. Adjusted for inflation, that is roughly $9,000 in today's money. A single refrigerator cost more than most cars. Only wealthy urban families bought them. But through the 1930s, prices fell as manufacturing scaled. The Rural Electrification Act of 1936 began wiring rural America into the national electrical grid. By 1945, roughly 85% of American homes had electricity. By 1953, 90% of American homes had a refrigerator. The electric refrigerator did many things the root cellar could not. It made ice for drinks. It kept dairy and fresh meat reliably safe in ways that a root cellar could not always guarantee. It allowed the rise of processed and frozen foods. It enabled the supermarket, the weekly shopping trip, and the consolidation of food distribution into the corporate supply chains we know today. But it also did something else. It moved food storage out of the household and into a dependency relationship with the electric grid and the appliance industry. A family with a root cellar was storing food they had grown or bought at harvest for free for 6 months. A family with a refrigerator was storing food they bought at the grocery store for electricity for 1 week at a time. That transition was not a conspiracy. Refrigeration solved real problems. But the infrastructure that replaced the root cellar was not neutral. It required a home connected to the grid. It required a manufactured appliance that had to be replaced every 15 years. It required a grocery store chain that could supply fresh produce year-round because households no longer needed to preserve their own. And it required a regulatory environment that treated electric cold storage as the standard and all other cold storage as an exception. By the 1970s, new housing construction in the United States had almost entirely stopped including root cellars as standard features. Building codes written for suburban tract housing had no provision for them. FHA and VA mortgage requirements did not recognize them as value additions. Home insurance policies did not cover them. Real estate appraisers did not know how to value them. Within 2 generations, the knowledge of how to build and operate them had largely vanished from mainstream American life. In some counties today, building a new root cellar is actively complicated by code requirements. Any habitable structure below grade requires egress windows and mechanical ventilation. Non-habitable storage structures still fall under accessory building regulations that may require permits, engineered drawings, and inspections. In areas prone to flooding, digging below grade requires environmental review. None of this makes root cellars illegal. It just makes them expensive and bureaucratic enough that most homeowners do not bother. Meanwhile, the homesteading, off-grid, and self-sufficiency communities have been quietly rediscovering them. Nancy and Mike Booble's 1979 book Root Cellaring remains the definitive modern reference. Earthbag builders like Owen Geiger have published detailed plans for low-cost cellars buildable for under $1,000. In Newfoundland, in New England, in the Appalachians, in rural Quebec, old stone cellars are being rehabilitated and put back into active use by families who have realized that their electric bill has a line item for food storage that their grandparents did not pay. The knowledge was never destroyed, it was just set aside. A piece of infrastructure that every American farm family used to have. A piece of independence that every American family could have again. The earth beneath your yard is already holding a stable, cool temperature. Has been holding it all summer. Will hold it all winter. The stones are at the quarry. The timber's in the woods. The instructions are in books that cost less than the monthly electric bill you pay to keep your refrigerator running. The only thing standing between you and 6 months of stored food without a compressor is a shovel, a weekend of research, and the willingness to build something your great-grandparents took for granted.